Welcome, everybody, to episode 248 of the effing title. I am Regent Husky.
And if you look at that, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Sorry, 248. I have DeNutte.
And we are, we're back.
Back.
We're back. So for
We
everyone,
just watched 6.5 hours of movie. I'm sorry.
yeah, we're kind of, it's for me anyway. I'm gonna look at the temp here. I mean, I know the temp of my apartment, but the temp here is 80 outside and it's about 87 in my apartment. And I know it's actually it's 88. It says on the AC right here. So between 6.5 hours worth of movie and us being overheated, we are.
My AC's blasted at me right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we are kind of in a great mood right now. We just got done watching the director's cut of Rebel Moon Part 1 and Part 2, showing this great image that Zach shared on Twitter, which I'm very thankful for because it was awesome as soon as I saw it. There was another one as well that he did. There's 2 of these. This is the one that I like the most, though, so I went with this one.
I've been seeing this one around.
Yeah,
And this
I
one is
really
very
like
cool.
it. I really like
What's her name? Princess
Isa.
Isa.
So like I said, we just watched the director's cut of Rebel Moon. For people out there that don't know, Rebel Moon is a 2-part movie that is technically a 1-movie thing. But they cut it up into 2 parts. And this is the director's cut, which means this is the R-rated version, which means there was an hour extra on each film. So we just watched 6.5 to 7 hours worth of movie. To now talk to you guys about said movie. I will say this. This is because I'll say this to start. One, I really like the movie. First off, really like it. Really liked it. And this is the thing. For right now, in this part, I'm just gonna say the movie because I'm gonna categorize it all as one thing. I really like the movie. I explained it to someone recently. There was this. I said that if you liked the first Rebel Moon movie, with it being PG-13, you are going to like this R-rated director's cut version.
Yeah, because if you didn't like it before, you're not gonna like another hour.
You're not gonna like an extra 2 hours of this thing. Like if you like the first one, you're really gonna like this one. Like the biggest thing that, and you'll hear us talking about this as we go into a little bit more depth. The biggest thing is there's more depth. I feel like there's more emotion. You kind of get a little bit more connected to people. Like at the very end of the movie, me and DeNutte both kind of agreed, like, all right, kind of feel a little bit different about this guy now from this version, from the last version. So a lot of pieces were added that weren't needed potentially, but were nice additions and kind of answered some questions that we had.
But also, what we expected.
Yes.
Yeah, say that.
Yeah.
Now, we were expecting something else going in. Not that we were disappointed, but just like the other director's cut, the Snyder director's cuts were like they changed the movie. It was like a different movie. This wasn't a different movie.
No.
Which is why, if you liked the original, then you would like this one.
Exactly. This isn't a different movie. There are some dialogue changes. There are some interactions that are different. There are some scenes that completely change. There's a couple brand new scenes.
Origin, you get like right off the back in the bat of the first one, you get the origin of
just kind of everything. Princess Isa, what's going on?
Well, I am awful with names. You know their names. The guy, the son, who is the soldier.
In this one, okay, yeah, in Eris.
Right at the start, you get the origin story of one of the characters from the movie that you know nothing about the whole time.
In the other one, we were just like, okay, this is just some dude. And then in this one, it's like, okay, he actually has a decent, like, we learned more about him now. We understand why he's doing the things he's doing. Where in the first one, we were just kind of like, this dude's kind of a pussy. Right?
Not the case.
Not the case in this one. But overall, what did you think?
It's very good.
It's
very hard to sell someone on a 7-hour movie.
That's the biggest thing to me, because like, and I know, and it's a pound my fist thing right now, because like I know people out there, and if you're watching, you know that I'm talking about you, right there, watching me, looking at you. Okay, I know you'll sit there and watch 10 hours of anime, or 10 hours of CIS, or crime shows, or that sort of thing. But then as soon as you say, like, a 3-hour movie... Oh, God, how dare you make me do that? I'm going to go watch Letterkenny, the entire series, and not get up.
Well, Letterkenny's only 6 episodes per season, so it's like that one's pretty short. But still, yeah, you're like, I'm just going to go watch The Office again for the 15th time.
Yeah, so, like, I do have a little bit of a, kind of grudge against that one. Now, what I will say is this, though. Because we just sat down. This was a 2-day thing for us. That was long.
It was long.
It was long. We enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But it was long.
It was so long, and I watch a lot of movies. I was like, man, I gotta sit here for another 3 hours.
It's a big story. It is a big story that they're telling. And that's one of the things, is that, like, that's the hard selling point. Like you said, it's hard to sell something.
You get more of Cora's backstory, even. So, like, I don't know. There's way more world telling. There's way more, like, right off the bat, again, is like you get this whole. So he kills. What's his name?
Eris.
No, Noble off the back kills, like a leader of a planet, and he takes his tooth and he puts it on, like a mural that's made of teeth, and you're like, oh, there are thousands of teeth on there. This is just another planet. He just is clearly like running through the world, killing billions of people, doesn't care.
Yeah, and that was one of those things. Like, at one point during the film, I actually said, in the first part, I was like, I wonder what this guy's teeth look like. And DeNutte kind of went silent after that. And we'd had a pretty good little, like, if we both said something, if one of us said something, the other one responded, he was silent. So I'm sitting there like, okay, maybe he just didn't hear me. I'll just leave it. And then we see Noble take his cane femur of some legendary creature that is a holy item, and just beat this dude over the face with it, and the teeth go flying everywhere. And then DeNutte goes, "Oh, that's what you mean by the teeth." Like, it was like,
yeah, dude, I was like, what?
But yeah, no, so, like, the biggest thing that I'll say with it is this, like I said, if you like the original ones, you're really going to like these. If you didn't like the original ones, why are you listening to this, and why are you here? But I will say this, is that the biggest difference with these is there's some dialogue that changes little things. You get a lot more exposition and backstory on characters and kind of things, like we're saying, like little things like the teeth. That's a very little minor thing, but once you realize what it is, it just adds on to the overarching thing.
At the ending of the first part, Ed Screen, Noble, gets his face smashed in, a bunch of teeth fly out of his mouth, and you go, why did they focus on that? And now it's like, once that happened, you're like, oh, like watching this version, you're like, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense now. It's the symbolism of it, which is one of the things we don't really need to go too deep into, is the symbolism of everything, right? But
yeah, where you're like, you're like, what is that? What is the hell is that supposed to mean?
So it's like there's more backstory, there's more exposition, there's a little bit more emotion and heart, because we get to learn the characters a little bit more. Stories and scenes that felt a little bit rushed or a little bit more fleshed out, and a little bit like there's a little bit more added to them. It's not like a massive thing. Now the weird thing is this, and this is one of the things that we will talk about real quick, is one of the big things that people have an issue with Snyder movies, which is dumb, is slow motion.
And I feel like we're talking about this. There was less slow motion in this one, like this version.
This movie had less slow motion, and when we were talking about it, this is the way that, at least I came to in my brain, and I think you agreed with me. It felt more like 300 slow motion than the over-exaggerated slow motion that was in the PG versions. Like, in 300, the slow motion is there, and it's like, no, as he's, like, kicking him down the well, right? It's just a slow motion shot of it. Kind of the same thing, yeah, the slow motion is like her,
moments,
not just like, oh, we're just going to slow motion a hand over the grain for a full 5 seconds just for the hell of it. Like,
which actually it did in that scene was also different. It wasn't quite the same. I mean, it was slowed down a little bit, but it wasn't like 10,000 frames per second slow. Like it was like there was one. The slowest it got during that was again, it was Nemesis tossing grain, and she tossed once, and it went super slow.
Yeah.
And now I think that was the slowest frame of the whole movie.
Yes, I'll agree with that one there. But yeah, no. So like overall though, that's kind of the big thing is that just like they added like everything gets a little bit more fleshed out. That is, I mean, the violence in the violence is a funny one.
Touch on that
yet. We won't touch on that because that's a whole. But like, there's that. The language is a couple people say fuck.
Oh, a couple sex scenes now too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, there's a couple sex. There's a sex scene, and then there's a "we'll cover your eyes," like what do you don't look at that scene. That's the second one, not the first one.
But that one didn't feel any different though.
It didn't. It just the
fight did.
Yes, the fight did.
But
so overall though.
So I think in the original we had a sex scene in the second half.
We didn't have the one in the first part. She just came home, and then in the second part they hinted at it, where I think they make out, and then it's them in bed together.
Okay,
I think that's what it is.
2 sex scenes. That was what we were added.
No, and then the surprise one that wasn't shown, but we did get the hint of it afterwards. You and me both cheered about with our boy Tarok.
Oh yes, when you said that, yes, that's right.
But okay, so
him,
yeah, very, very. So this is the thing we're gonna do. So we just, like I said, we want to do a quick kind of this is the overarching thing. Out of what would you rate it? If you're gonna rate this, what would you rate it?
I give it 3.7 teeth out of 5.
Okay. I'll go. I'm gonna, because I don't remember what we gave the first ones. To be honest with you,
I don't either.
I don't remember.
It's been almost 6 months, so
I'm gonna go 3.9.
Okay.
I'll go 3.9. Right around the same. For me, the thing is that like it is an investment of time. That's the biggest thing, and it sounds like a bad thing, but I swear to God, it's not.
Yeah, I think that would be like.
It's just
that you'd have to lead with that. You're like, if
you're willing to spend 7 hours.
Yeah.
Because like this is like you could break it down, I guess. I just don't know. Because like at least that was the thing with the Snyder Cut is the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Like they put like chapter 1, this. Boom, then it's chapter 2. So you could technically just go through and watch each chapter. With this, they didn't really do that. So like,
people hate breaking down movies. Like even people that like are complaining about the movies. If you watch half of it, they're like, "How could you go back and finish it?" You're like, "Didn't you lose like your thought process, your training process, like whatever?" I'm like, it's the same thing as watching episodes of a TV show to me.
Yeah, exactly. Is same. Yeah. Do you forget what happened in House of the Dragon last week? No, you don't, because you're not dumb. It's the same thing with this.
I did because I gave up on it.
Yeah, I haven't watched the new season, so I don't have Max anymore.
Boring.
Yeah. But so that's that though. So that's that. It's worth the watch if you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, why are you listening to this podcast?
Mm-hmm.
But now what we're gonna do is this. So we're actually gonna go into it and talk about it a little bit more, like each part a little bit more. But what I will say is this. So beforehand, I do want to give a big shout out, right? First off, to Mr. DeNutte, because I caught you off guard here, didn't I? This homie just spent 7 hours of his life watching a movie, literally with me. We watched it in Discord, so it's probably been more like 8-9 hours of a weekend.
I got called in.
He got called in to work a couple times, so we had to pause it. Plus, also then recording the podcast with however long this takes. So I just wanted to give a big shout out to DeNutte. Thank you, dude. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
And then the second one I'm going to do, just because I am dehydrated.
The power of friendship.
Power of friendship. I'm dehydrated, right? And it is warm. So luckily, right, I have some glitch energy.
Oh, mine's downstairs. I don't have yours. It's downstairs. Look at me. I have your gear. I have your shaker. I'm more. Look at this.
Selfless plug. Glitch Energy is an energy drink company. They do powdered shakers and powdered energy, and they do hydration. Use my code, get 10% off. Links down in the comment down in the description down below. There's my selfless plug for the day. Haven't done one of those. I gotta come up with a repertoire for that.
I never put a selfless plug in.
I mean, I did one time on one of them, but it was like I was doing a review for it, and I was like, use my code. It's BIGHUSKY. I'm surprised I got that in one try. Hey, yo! Like, but it was like just off the rip, so I gotta just come up with some sort of thing to remember.
Do you even have a link for your merch on there? Oh, I know you have one, but do you ever put it out there?
I don't ever, like, verbalize it, no.
Yeah.
Yep. If you want some merch, this is one of the shirts. We're both wearing the same shirt right now. His looks better than mine.
It's soft. Oh yeah, mine. It was actually I had lost it for a little while and I found it. So I have worn it, but it's definitely like fresher.
Yeah. I wear mine so fucking much, and
the pink. You could definitely tell it's like it still pops. It pops.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's a really nice like light, stretchy.
Yeah, no, this company that they use for this is.
I've actually worn this hiking.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So.
All right. So part 1, Chalice of Blood. They also changed the title of them, by the way.
I didn't recognize that.
Yes, they changed the title.
I saw it in the credits for the second part.
Yeah. So one of them was Scargiver, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I forgot what the other one was. Scargiver.
Curse of the Forgiven.
That's the new title.
Oh, for original one? Yeah, good title.
I don't know either. Let me take a look. Rebel Moon Part 1. Rebel Moon Part 1. It just says Rebel Moon. Oh, Child of Fire. Child of Fire and Scargiver. That was the name of them.
What is this, the Hunger Games?
Well, it's interesting because, like, thinking about it now, the Child of Fire, Scargiver. Scargiver, okay, I'll give him that. Child of Fire, though, I don't... Like, the Chalice of Blood, that kind of works with how much they talked about the chalice in the first part. And then the Curse of the Forgiveness, I feel like that just needs to be the entire thing. Right? For this movie, is just do it. Just Rebel Moon, Curse of Forgiveness.
Okay, I lost you there for a minute.
Yeah, you just went super speed right there for a moment.
Okay, all right. So I was like, "What's going on?" All right, I'm back. We're back.
All I was saying was that Chalice of Blood, pretty decent title for it. Curse of Forgiveness, I said you could just call this first movie Rebel Moon Curse of Forgiveness.
Yeah, so for real, because you're like, because that, I mean, who cares about spoilers at this point?
Yeah.
At the end when Gunnar dies, and you were like, I forgive you, and I'm like,
yeah. So part 1 has a brand new start to the movie. In the first one, we get a Jimmy kind of talking about like the history of the world in the PG version. In this version, we don't get that. In this version, instead, we get wholly new intro is what I wrote down. Also, for everyone out there that doesn't know, I took notes during this. When I say took notes, I mean I took
mental notes.
I took 4 pages worth of notes. All new starts of the movie. It's about 20 minutes long. But like we were saying, it sets up a lot. Actually, it answers a lot of questions. So it starts off. We're on a brand new planet. There's people fighting the Imperium. Noble is there, and we see Noble, and we see these people fighting. And at first, we were like, we think that's this guy.
You know what? You said that, and I was like, I don't know who this is.
Yeah.
And then when you see him again later on, I was like, oh, it was him.
It was him, okay. Yeah. So it's Eris, and it's his family on their planet, and Noble is coming there to persuade them in the Imperium's way to...
But before that, the dad kills a minimum of 100 guys.
Minimum.
Minimum.
That is popping off.
And he's some sort of, like, it's almost like he's like a space Shaolin monk. I don't know, so I'll put that.
Maybe, yeah. I can see that. Maybe that's just that world.
Maybe that's a world.
Yep.
But and then the bomb monkey, which was
the cutest little suicide bomb monkey we've ever seen.
Yeah, they were like, they had this monkey in a cage, and they're like, he talked to it. He's like, hey, we gotta save him. We gotta do what's right.
You gotta protect her.
Like, all right. And so the monkey just like almost looks like he let it go, like he was gonna go do something. And then he ran up to the soldiers and was like, "Hi!"
And just arms cute. Out, and then just glowing and
he blew up.
So then we get Noble talking with them, and he's like, "We can offer your family a better life. Do. It's just simple. Either you kill," and he's talking to Eris at this point. He's talking to the kid at this point. And he's like, "Either you bash your dad's skull in, and you and the rest of them get to be free, or we just kill you all." So the mom's like, "Don't you do it! Don't you do it!" And the dad's like, "Shut up! Do it! Save everyone! Save us all!
I forgive you!
I forgive you!" Starts off with it,
and then the girls are like, "We will never forgive you."
Yeah,
he's like,
and Eris beats his dad over the head with this shillelagh femur holy relic, just beats his skull in. And then Noble's like, "Good, you're gonna be us. You're one of us now." And then he's like talking to the talking to the mom, and like, you'll be fine, and everything. He's gonna be fine. Bang, 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 kills them all. They take one of the teeth, they put it in the frame like we were talking about. To which then at that point you notice as a picture of Princess Issa in the middle, and all the frame is just covered with teeth, other than like this one portion of it. And at that moment, that's when you kind of realize, like, this isn't the first, like, emperor leader of a planet that they've killed.
Also, we didn't address the violence, because...
Oh, yes.
The violence is, before, like, people died, you're like, yeah, okay, that person got shot, they died. This is, like, they get ripped apart, like, the bullets, like, are slugs, and it punches holes in you, and blood splatters everywhere. And then, like, a lot of headshots where people's heads just, like, explode. Or, like, huge portions of their head goes missing. Very rated R. Very rated R.
Very, very R, yes. Yeah, that's...
Like, if you... no, if you showed one of these, it would not be PG-13.
Yeah, no, yeah, genuinely. See, one of the things I did right was... Just from this first brand new 20-minute intro, it does show just how evil Noble is. We were talking about this at the very end of the movie. Noble in this is just fit. Ed Screen. Screen? Ed.
I say Screen.
Fantastic job with this villain.
Oh,
unreal killed it. Like, he is the bat. Like, he is just a bat. That's it.
He might be the best character in the movie.
Yes. Yes.
Charlie.
Charlie is really good, but no, I would agree though. I do think it is Ed.
Okay, yeah, which sucks. I mean, because he's dead.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So let's see here. A lot more of the F word said. First sex scene. Well, Den and Cora do the thing. That's the thing I wrote down. Small lines are changed from each version, which was one of the things I did notice. That was one of the big things. It's just like there's a couple lines that change, which, depending on kind of like what we were saying, they added small little scenes, extended some backstory, extended some stuff. So some of the lines changed, and it does change the scene a little bit.
Also, some of the lines didn't change, and it did change the scene a little bit.
Yes.
Like when Cora did sleep with Den. And the next day, she's talking to that girl. She's like, "That's not what I heard when I walked by." And like you were like, they didn't have sex. But then it turns out you think like it must have been a different girl, but it turns out they did have sex.
Yes, so
is a very different.
So in the PG-13 version, for everyone that doesn't know, they're talking about how, because this is a very old school culture, they do everything by hand. They farm by hand. Like, so in order to have a fruitful harvest,
sex by hand.
To have a fruitful harvest, they must plow their seed.
Which that scene was different.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they were talking about that, and in the PG-13 version, it shows Cora kind of looking at Den, and then Cora looking at Gunner, and then it just shows her showing up late at night, and the old dude Hagen, being like, "Oh, where have you been? What have you been up to?" And Cora's just kind of like, playfully like plays it off. And then the next morning, like you said, we get the, "Oh, that's not what I heard last night," to which we just assumed like, "Oh, she thinks they had sex," but they we know they didn't.
Like, no, they had sex.
Now in the R-rated version, yeah, no, they did it. Like, it was aggressive,
and it was full. It was a full softcore too.
Yes.
So everything except pen.
Yep. So that oh my god, the violence is so much more shocking. The priests are terrifying. So that must have been one of the other first times when they were doing the teeth.
Yeah, like the violence was like almost I wouldn't say unnerving, but it was startling.
It was, especially like, because like when you get into part 2, you kind of get used to it, other than a couple moments.
Yeah.
But when you first start coming into this and you see how drastically different the violence is, it is shocking. But it
makes sense. It's like it's the universe.
Yes, it's the universe. It makes sense. But also, I think that as well, it's one of those things that, and this is one of the things that I feel like people underestimate for Zack, is that a lot of the stuff that he does with this, he is very heavy-handed with.
Oh, yeah. Right?
He's very heavy-handed with it. And when he's very heavy-handed with it, what I'm talking about primarily is, like, the heavy-handedness is, like, oh, they're a bad guy? Instead of just, like, hinting they're a bad guy or kind of showing they're a bad guy. No, he's going to show you exactly how terrible this person is. Which I love, because it reinforces it. Right?
Well, and then that goes along with, like, in the first one, they go to a bar to see about a guy. And they don't really say what it is. I don't even know if they call it a bar.
Like, I just think that we're going to this place. I think they said.
And then in the R-rated version, it's a brothel, and you're like, that being a brothel makes so much more sense.
Yeah, because like it makes sense because you get the big creepy dude that's just like, how much for him, and then you get the guy that's just like sitting there just getting.
I
don't know.
And the bartender's like,
gags.
Go F some customers.
Yeah, go screw some customers. Go do your thing.
Go do your job.
So because of course we can't say the R word that happens, the potential R word that happened, that we thought was going to be more violent in the grain house there.
It's not the R word I was thinking of.
Yeah, no, not that one.
When did they say that?
No, the other one. That's where I was talking about the shocking violence, because that was the scene that we saw when it first happened, and we were like, okay, there's a scene where Cora's like on one of the guys, gun here, and shoots, and the dude's head just goes. I mean, you know, like, that's going to be so much cooler in the R-rated version.
His head exploded.
His head just, boom, gone. Like, it explodes. Yeah. And, like, that's when the violence first kicks off, is right there.
You know
and
what?
Also, Sigurd, right before that. Because the other one... Noble's like it's like oh you're gonna do this to us, you're gonna do this, just turns around and smacks Sigurd in the head, and it just kind of smacks him in the head and he falls over.
Oh yes,
in this one it gets stuck in his head,
yeah,
and then he pulls it out, and then you see like the dude's eye like roll a little bit, and then he just falls down, and then his wife comes running in and they cut her in half.
Speaking of cut her arm off first,
arm off.
There's one scene, I know it's later on, but like there's one scene that like didn't feel as violent, even though when Charlie Hunnam dies, when he gets cattle prodded into his neck, that could have been like way more graphic.
Because you paused it at that point and went back because you were like, hold up, because I remember you said, hold up, I want to see something. So now I know why you wanted to re-see that again.
Because I was like, it did like. Not that it had to be like crazy violent, but like compared to the rest of the movie, it was pretty tame.
Yeah, compared to what we had seen for the violence, that we had like the moments when we were like, "Oh, this is going to be very violent." Yeah, that one wasn't one of them.
Like there are scenes where like on these planets, like you see they do these flashbacks. You see people dying to like artillery and stuff. Like people are there 1 second and then they're just not there the next. Like half their body's gone and it's like mush and like I don't know. It was
It was there was times when it was like holy hell, and then there was other times where it was like, oh, okay. They added a shit ton of backstory to Cora, which is great because it was one of those things where like anything like this, when you're trying to start a universe, start something fresh, you need to be able to hit it and be able to hit it quickly. And the PG-13 version did a good job of hitting it quickly. She was an orphan, she's here, she's now the adopted daughter, she's now this, she's now that, and then, you know, everything happens in part 2 that we'll get to. In this one, it shows her parents being dead, shows her becoming adopted, shows her joining the ranks, shows her going up through the ranks, shows her becoming the guardian of Princess Issa. Like, it showed a lot more to it and added a lot more to it. There's one scene where, like, she's looking at, like, this mural, and it was, like, the legend of Princess Issa and how it is a thing that is passed down through generations, and, like, she will be the one that stops and unites and, like, all this stuff, and it was just, like, it's like, there's a whole, you could do a whole movie on just the history lesson right now of this. Like, really cool. Then we get to the bar versus brothel scene. That was really cool. Sexy robot showed up at the end.
Not a big part at all.
Yeah, not a big part at all. Charlie effing Hunnam, hearing his glorious voice again in this universe is great. I do like it because it is just one of those things where you hear all these different dialects, and it's like, yeah, it would make sense if this is a universe where people are jumping from planet to planet, and there's all these different things and this and that. Then yes, no, there's not going to be like one dialect. There's going to be millions of them, right? So it was kind of cool just randomly hearing Charlie Hunnam's voice again. Just also it's Charlie Hunnam, you know. So this was the interesting thing. So they leave Velt to go find the warriors. To find some warriors. And then me and DeNutte both basically at the exact same time. DeNutte said it always quicker than I did.
Jimmy.
We go back to Velt, and it's showing Velt getting ready and like farming and doing the stuff, which we didn't see in the other one.
Nope.
In the other version. They actually went back to Velt and showed us what the farmers were doing and what everyone was doing at Velt. A lot more scenes with Eris and Sam.
Yep.
But the big one is a lot more Jimmy.
Yeah, because the original first part, like it showed, like when they left the planet, we didn't see Jimmy again until the end, and he was like fully kitted out in like clothes and like the headdress, and you're like, what the hell happened to him?
Suddenly we leave Jimmy, and he's awkwardly running off into the distance out of the barn, and then 2 hours later, Jimmy shows back up, and now he's the Forest King, and we're like, something happened here.
Yeah.
What was it? Now we found out what it was.
Someone's been cooking. So that we get more of like what's going on. He fixes the ship for them, like the ship that Cora arrived on.
Which is another one. So, like, that was one of the things that we did talk about was that, like, I thought in the first version, in the PG version, they went to find the ship afterwards, like, hey, does my ship still work? Where in this version, Hagen is like, hey, let's go get the ship because we know it's here and it might be able to be of use. Like, that sort of thing.
And it was like a thing the whole village went there to drag it back. It was a whole ordeal.
So it was a big change, really. Or a big, not change, but a big addition to the movie, I should say. A lot more scenes setting up, a lot more setup of scenes and intros. So this is when we're going to get Tarok. We get some more intro into Tarok. The scene adds a little bit of wording.
More to him for sure.
The funny thing is when he was flying around on the Bentu, me and DeNutte felt that scene was shorter.
Yeah, it didn't feel like, it wasn't like before I was like, all right, dude, let's get this over with.
Yeah, because that was one of the things we had talked about
the first time.
And the first one was like, hey, like they kind of overdid it a little bit. And I'm sitting there like, well, yeah, it's just, it's the pageantry of flying it and like, that sort of shit. In this one though, it felt a lot shorter. And then also when he kills Ray Porter at the end there, he like the Bentu kills Ray Porter at the end. Like he kills him. Like, it's not just like, he stabbed him in the chest. No, he flies away with him, like, dangling in each other. Yeah. Then, Jimmy. Then we get more scenes of Jimmy. Then we go back to...
Nemesis?
Yep.
Yep.
Nemesis.
I don't think we get one additional scene with her. We don't get any additional backstory.
The backstory, all they did was there was some dialogue stuff.
But, like, very little.
Very little. The cool one with this though is we get some more backstory with Cora and the Royals and stuff. So Cora is a part of. We find out that Cora is a part of. I want to make sure I'm not flipping these around movie wise, and even if I do, it doesn't really matter. Oh, right there. Yep. Okay. So we get some more of Cora. Cora goes into war. She does a bunch of stuff. She's like the only person left. We were watching that. One of the Jimmys gets hit and falls down. One of the people in the background just gets exploded.
Yes.
The cool thing that we did notice, and this is one that we audibly talked about, was when in, let's say for Star Wars, for instance, right? Red, blue.
The good guys and the bad guys.
Good guys, bad guys.
Very hot and cold.
Right. In this movie, when Cora is pushing in on this planet, she's part of the Imperium. The lasers that they're shooting are orange, and the other people are shooting red lasers. Very, just kind of like there is no good, there is no bad feeling to it.
It's just weapons.
It's just bad. Yeah, it's just war. So we get more Carrie Hughes in this one, which was cool.
Yeah.
He was the king.
Yeah. Big bearded Carrie Hughes as well.
Big bearded Carrie Hughes.
At times, but at other times, no beard.
Yeah, no beard, little beard, like a little mini beard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we get some more Carrie Hughes and Cora backstory. Cora now, well, because of her, like, standing on the field and everything, she now is the quote unquote babysitter bodyguard of Princess Issa. So we get a little bit more backstory there, which was really kind of cool and nice to see. And then yet again, Jimmy. But I think in this part though, so let's see here, because there, Tarok, so there was, yes. So the Nemesis part, we go to the planet that Nemesis is currently on, and they're eating some food, and then we go and we find Hamada. No real new scenes with Hamada, other than when they slice open, at the very end, when Nemesis kills Hamada, and slices the stomach, a bunch of little babies come out. And DeNutte audibly was like, "Aw," because one of the babies stops and looks at the camera, and then runs off.
It's cute. It's cute as hell.
It was adorable. It was upsetting though that they killed our girl there,
Jenna Malone.
Jenna Malone. So then we go back to Jimmy. We get some. Then we go, and we're gonna go find General Titus in the Colosseum.
This is like this was a big backstory.
A big backstory. So it was really kind of cool seeing it.
Well, is that later on actually?
To an extent, a little bit of both, because like they add the beginning part. So when we show up, it's like, oh yeah, let's just go find General Titus, and there he is. In this one, it's like, hey, that guy's got to be General Titus. Look at him. Look at him. He's big. He's muscular. He's and then the guy's like, no, the general's over there. Like but like in the background, you see like this giant alien ripping some dude in half. The general's kind of lost it. He's a drunk. He's fed up. He's just trying to kill himself. Basically, it feels like. And he decides to join him. Titus' story gets more emotional, and the addition to the drink, and they add the addiction to drinking. That's what it was. They put that in immediately, so they add a lot of. It's more dialogue stuff. It's him talking about how he feels that like he was the survivor out of all the people. Like why couldn't he have died that day? Like that sort of thing. And it adds more of an emotional stakes to it. And then how he starts drinking because he needs to just numb everything. And how like that's just the constant state he is in now. He is just drunk. He is just there. It is the addiction because it's the only way that he can forgive himself, sort of thing, without killing himself. It was adds a lot more to his story, especially with a major thing that happens later on. But like the addition of like it's like I've given up on life.
You really find out why though later on.
Yes, like we noticed it later on. And we're like, me and DeNutte even caught it. And was like, okay, that's kind of a cool thing. But now yet again, the heavy-handedness, they really kind of hit it home with it. Turok backstory gets hinted at. It doesn't get mentioned, but it gets hinted at one point about that. Setup is making the long scenes feel shorter. That was the thing I wrote. Because it was one of those things where like a lot of things felt rushed. Like they go to the Colosseum. It's like a 5-10 minute scene in the PG-13 version. That's it. Moving on. In this version, it's maybe 10 to 15, maybe 17 minutes. Mm-hmm. But like they're adding to quote unquote a long scene by making it longer, but it's fleshing it out more. That's one of the that's the.
You're getting more out of it. It's not like.
It's not just like
okay, next spot.
Yeah, we're here. We see this guy. We get him. Cool. Nice to move on. Doesn't feel as rushed. Like the scenes didn't feel as rushed. They felt more fleshed out. Milius, dude was killing Squid dude was a longer scene. When they kill Lativius.
Yes.
Lativius.
When they went to the world to find the blood gang.
Yeah, the blood axes.
The king that was when the king
the king there.
They tortured him.
Yeah, they tortured him. And then yet again, like we said,
and that's like what his teeth look like.
Yeah, that's what I was like. What do his teeth look like? Shillelagh to the face, teeth go flying, and then they did the cannons, the firing of the weapons, and I think that was the first time they actually fully showed it, like from the ship point of view, and that's just insane. Like it's like literally like charge up the cannon. It's just a cannon, tutu, tutu. But then at that point as well, and I don't know if I wrote it in that part. I didn't. I wrote it down at the very bottom, so I'll hit it there instead. Then we go back to Jimmy. King Jimmy now, because he found some random dead elk and put his head on his head. Yep. And now he had a crown. This is when I wrote 300 slow-mo versus over-the-top slow-mo, was at this point. So that must have been at the end fight, sort of thing. Very small details of making more sense. And then I wrote Noble losing teeth versus taking teeth.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that you can really take away from this, is like the little things that they added to it are...
Everything played together.
Yes.
I wish I could remember the term for it, but there's the term for, like, if you, in a piece of media, if you focus on something, if you really put detail into it, there has to be a reason why you do that. Like, you just can't do that and never bring it up again.
You mentioned that during Hamada with the babies.
Yeah, so, like, that, like, they put a lot of emphasis on those babies, like that one baby turning around. Maybe it will be a thing later on, but, like, with the teeth, like, that is, like, really, like, what was that about?
Yeah.
But it all came together.
Yep, and then we get, that's the end fights. This is, like, the very end of the movie. And we get Noble dying.
That scene wasn't really much different. You could see when he got stabbed, you saw it go through him. Yeah. But, like, overall, not much different.
Not much different there. Then we go back to, now they're back on the home world, the Hawkshaws. I kept saying Hankshaws. It was Hawkshaws. I had to correct myself.
I keep calling them Hawkeyes. So.
The Hawks. They're the giant orky people. They, like, start following them. We get that scene of Jimmy that we saw in the first one, where we were like, where the has he been all this whole time? And then we get a really kind of cool and creepy scene. And it's the priest standing in front of one of the Kali. And the Kali are the world engine for the machines, for the dreadnoughts. And it puts his hand on his head, on her head, I guess it would be, or their head, or whatever, its head. The eyes open up, kind of start to flow back into the head. And then, I guess the space vagina opens up. And they shoot through it, and they're kind of... basically, it's like intergalactic travel sort of thing. And it's kind of crazy because the whole time they have, like, this, like, operatic almost scream going on that's from the Kali.
But what's interesting, it's focused a lot more on this in this version.
Yes.
Because there was a scene where Korra talked about it standing there. But in the original one, you don't see it until Korra goes there.
Yes. So, like, this is, like, right off of the beginning, and...
yeah, you don't see it until part 2 in the original.
Yeah. And it goes back after, like, the warp stuff happens. It goes back, and it cries. And the really kind of cool thing, I don't know if you picked up on it, when it cries, it fell down, and when it hit, and it kind of did, like, the splash, you could see different galaxies in the splash. Which was kind of weird to me, because I'm sitting there like, did they just kill, like, 20 galaxies? It's
got to just be some sort of, like, interdimensional being.
It has to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of, yet again, it was another thing where it's just like, it's a lore thing, it adds to it, it's another gigantic thing. And then there's more explosion, boom, boom, boom. Or more exposition, not explosion, sorry. My handwriting is terrible. More exposition.
You do have a very interesting handwriting. It's almost cursive, but not.
It's like cursive doctor writing.
Yeah, because I saw, you showed it to me earlier. I think that was like the first time I had seen it.
Yeah. Like, my mom and dad have always said that, like, I have the handwriting of a doctor, because it's just, I just kind of go. And, like, if it looks like something, it looks like something. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But that was the end of part 1. So part 1, it was a lot more exposition, more focus on some backstory stuff, couple dialogue changes here and there.
You know, alright, the first one was longer.
Yes.
By, like, a half an hour.
I think it was longer by an hour.
Second one felt longer.
The second one did feel longer. The second one did
not
feel
that
longer.
I didn't like it.
Well, that's the thing that was tough with this, because, like I said, it is, where we're at right now, it is hot. And we are both big boys. Therefore, we do not like the hot. So we're just exhausted. Also, like DeNutte was saying, he was going to and from work after us planning to do this and not have any interruptions. He had to come back and forth between them, and I'm just tired because I hate the hot. So we were kind of getting... a little bit laggy.
I was like, oh, I gotta go. I'll be back.
But part 2, the Ruh Kali is what they call her at one point. The Ruh Kali. As I said, it's so dope. Power source of the ships. They basically use the ship. They go to find Noble. Go get Noble. And then they're like pushing the bounds of the ship to like bring him back to life, and that's when you see like the Kali looks like they're in pain, and like the eyes start rolling back and they're crying beforehand. And one of the ship people are like, it's like, oh well, we'll push that bitch until she can't work anymore, like that sort of thing. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's aggressive, sir.
Which is crazy, because like, say you do that and she dies, then you're just like stuck in the middle of space. So like,
that is a great question. You just mentioned that. What would they do? It's not like you can just replace a giant sentient being, right? Like,
and clearly, like the way that they finished the first one, where Ed goes and talks to Viserys, yeah, like clearly, like they don't just have like normal phones in this universe.
Yeah, they don't have.
Because when you think about it, like you never saw anyone talking over like a normal radio or a cell phone or like any. There's one time they have like a communication device, and there's one time there's like an intercom.
Yeah, the very end of the movie, they're like, "Oh, we have these communication devices." But outside of that, though, like,
that's the only time you ever saw them using any sort of that technology. Even like when Ray Fisher was talking to his pilots, he was literally yelling at them from the ground. You know,
yo, sweep around.
Yeah, so like that wasn't like a communication device there. He's like, yeah. So I don't know.
How did we word it? It's very old school feeling, but futuristic, which makes no sense. But like that's literally how it feels. Like the ship is grungy as shit, but then there's like all these like scientific things like sparking and going off, like you know. So we get some more Sam and Eris's relationship being fleshed out, which was really nice to see. If they don't get together in part 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, I'm gonna be upset.
I just kept going, God, they need to have sex.
I mean, it's gonna happen eventually. It has to, right? Like,
yeah. Well, I was like, they both kill people. They both do this and that. They gotta be they gotta be adults, you know?
Yeah. So
do they kiss? They kiss.
Yeah, they kiss on the because those humans are putting their mouth holes together.
And you just need to rub their genitals together.
So the Hawkshaws are spying on them this whole time. So at the end of the first movie, when they're coming back, the Hawkshaws kind of see them and follow them to the village, and they kind of spy on them. There's a lot of they doing this moments that now get fully fleshed out. Like just a lot of the moments where it's like one of them was it was Titus talking about something. General Titus was talking about something, and I remember that was the first thought I thought was like, oh, he's actually explaining like what was happening that they left out of the first one. Line you didn't need, but it's just a nice exposition line. I think it was one of those things where it's like it was along the lines of like we only have we have 5 days. Okay, cool. We're gonna get everything done in 3. And then it was along the lines of basically like, we need you guys to trust us, and we need to trust you, so we're going to help you. And we're going to do this with you. Where, like, that whole line isn't even in the first one, but it's like, okay, now it makes sense. Along with the, like, we're going to do this, or we're going to do this thing. And they actually flesh it out, like, oh, if we get all the grain...
You can shoot, or you can dig me a hole, or you cover me in dirt.
That line I wrote down at the very end, yeah. What was it? It was, cover me with this, and he gives him a gun, and he goes, or cover me with dirt, and then just runs off. It was like, that is a great line. Like, is it needed? No, not at all. But it's such a great line. Corey and Gunnar do the thing, and we see it. And then they do more talking.
You know, we were both like, this seems a little too long.
Yeah, it felt a little bit too long. Like, the other one was, like, aggressive. It was just, they were just having sex just to have sex. This one was like, no, these two are like this is lover thing now. Like, this is passionate. Like,
yeah.
Like, this is, like, but the funny thing was, though, it's just, I have to mention it because I genuinely laughed when he said it. DeNutte goes, do you think Gunnar's a virgin?
Well, you know, like, think about it. Like, has he ever had like someone? Has he always been in that village? You don't really that now that you think about it, the one person we don't have a backstory for is Gunner.
Yeah.
Or anyone from this village. The only people we have backstories for are people outside the village.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
And then just calling people outsiders or outwarders.
Did Gunner have like a
mistress?
Or did he have like a high school sweetheart?
Why does he know about the brothel so much?
How does he know he went down on her?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He surely knows something.
She was
very. Yeah. There's a lot. Like there were multiple positions.
Just don't watch this with your parents in the room.
I think it gave us some positions more than once. That's how long this scene was.
Yes, I'll agree with that. So then after that, they have they talked about it in the first one where they went over like because now Gunner knows Cora. Gunner knows Cora's backstory. So Gunner basically asks her like, "Hey, tell me more." And she's like, "Okay, cool." Massively fleshed out.
Did she put up a fight? I'm sorry.
I was wondering if you were going to do it because it was in my head and I was like, resist the urge. Massive backstory expo dump here compared to what it was. So I do believe in the PG-13 version, we just get told that like hey, there's going to be a coup. The coup happens, and then they blame it on Cora. Boom. That's it. In this version, we find out that the king...
There's almost a reason for the coup.
Yes. The king is now going to start transitioning kind of the army and the Imperium away from being murderous and everything. Because Issa can heal people and do all this other stuff. And he's found out that Belisarius, as his lead commander, is basically just torturing and murdering everyone. So, like, there's a whole thing where they freak out on him, and he's like, fine, if you want to do that, I'm going to remove your position, and instead I'm going to make you a politician.
Which is like, dude, what are you doing?
And then we get to see the commander turn politician.
He goes full Hitler. Like,
full Hitler. It is...
like, the symbolism, the everything.
It is unnerving. Kind of a little bit, like I don't know if I should, like, this is...
You don't know how much you want to say about that, but yes, it's there.
It's you get an awkward feeling watching it. Let's just put it like that. There is a little bit of a moment.
It feels like the Fourth Reich.
Yeah. But then it goes to this thing where like there's like we don't know if they're statues or if they're giant dead like giants.
We were debating it, so.
But the king is there. They're talking with, it looks like maybe other senators or people. And Belisarius comes up, and Belisarius basically is like, hey, the king is going to give... He's going to basically end his reign and give it to Princess Issa. Issa's going to take over. And she's going to do all this stuff. There's going to be no more armies. There's going to be no more this. The Imperium is dead. All of this stuff. And Cora's like, cool, she's going to lead with wisdom and grace or reason or something like that. And he's like, and this is when Belisarius goes, yeah, he's going to execute all the commanders. What do you think he's going to do with us?
Yeah.
And he kind of talks, he kind of almost talks Cora into the coup. And like I said to DeNutte, I had him pause it during it. I was like, we saw the coup happen, very Caesar-esque. But also, I don't think you could do it and have it not be very Caesar-esque in that moment.
I mean, yeah, but they even down to the robes.
Yeah, like it was like they yet again heavy-handed with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like in the PG-13 version, it happens, you see it, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. In this one, there's just such a very evil feeling of him talking through the coup with his daughter and being like, this is why we have to do this. Like, there's no other option. We have to do... Like,
so, like, if he was going to execute all of them, like, you're like, what do you expect? But...
So then
it also could have been, like, a thing to try to trick Cora.
Yep. So then they execute them. It is as violent as we thought it would be, with it being R-rated.
I just want to point out, I'm thinking about this right now. You know, they all hate Cora for being the king killer, this and that, the Scargiver. Yep. Wouldn't they also, like, hate Belisarius for being the dad? They wouldn't be like, dude, your daughter sucks. Your daughter killed our king.
Because she's adopted. The whole way that he portrays it in that sequence there is like the off-worlder, the one who never wanted to be a part of us, like that sort of thing. Like he paints her as like almost like a refugee, like like that sort of fucking thing. Like how dare she come in and do because of course this is the other thing as well with him in the room with all the other chancellors and senators, they're on his side.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things. Like no matter what he says, his version's gonna get out, and it's one of those things where he can be like, "I tried my best, but it didn't work." You know what I mean? And then if anyone does say anything, you just kill him. But DeNutte did have a good point, and this is one that we've talked about before, and it is kind of it's plot armor.
A trope.
It's a trope. It's plot armor. You're never gonna get away from it. Cora kills about 7 people. As soon as she gets labeled as she's the scapegoat. She then kills like 7 people and goes to kill Belisarius and just doesn't.
She's like, I can't do it, and then
it turns around and kills him. So it's like it's a trope. We get it, but like at the same time, anyways, the subtle something on Cora was great. The fuck does it say?
Nice.
The subtle something on Cora was great. Sure. Farming slow-mo's still there, but loved it. Yeah, so they, of course, like I said, they were doing a lot with the farming, and they talked about it in the very first one, where it's like, we work with our hands. We don't have machines. We don't want machines. We feel more of a connection with the earth. We do it with our hands. And it was a cool moment seeing it because they show it, and other than Gunnar just kind of doing one of these in the background at one point because we caught him doing it.
Yeah, I was joking. Like, Gunnar was like, dude, we put it slow-mo afterwards.
Yeah, literally, you see General Titus, because I still can't pronounce his name. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't. Same.
Sorry.
Can't.
But he's full swing scythe up, swing scythe down, swing scythe up, swing. Like he's fully going at it, and Gunnar's in the background just kind of doing one of these. But so they did the whole slow-mo with that, and I said to DeNutte at the time that I really like it simply just because it's showing kind of, like I said, the aspect of we need to trust them, so we're going to help them. But also, these are warriors. It was
more cinematic than it was slow, because
yes.
The other one was
this one was
whoa.
Yeah, this one was more cinematic. Felt more kind of a connection to the villagers and the people.
Slow when he filled up his flask.
Yep. So at one point he fills up his flask with water. Instead of
alcohol,
and really kind of a cool. I think it's a cool moment as someone who doesn't really drink that much anymore. So I thought it was cool. I know there's other stuff, people that have addictions and are that sort of stuff.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm not talking about you.
I do like my booze.
I like
my beer.
I mean I'm not gonna lie to you. I almost bought some Heady Topper recently. So.
I just actually put some out of the fridge.
Oh, there we go. So then we have the cool flashback sequence. So this was one that we had talked about before this had even come out, how much that was going to change.
Mm-hmm.
The flashback of all the different characters. And honestly, it did. It added a decent amount to each character.
That's the thing is, this movie only, the versions are only added.
Yes.
There's one scene in this movie, in the second part, that changed.
Yes.
Sort of.
Yes.
I would say.
Yes.
We'll get to that one. But
yes. But so the flashback, they added more story to it. There was more. It made everything a little bit more emotional because you got to see the true extent of everything. General Titus's scene was at least a couple minutes extra long, and we could see Titus beat the shit out of a bunch of people. Terok's scene was more added lines of dialogue than actual scenes.
Yeah, you had his dad's funeral. I don't think they had that.
No, they had the funeral.
What?
Yep. It was. Okay. I don't think it was as long. I think it was a little bit longer with some more dialogue. But his mom jumping off, him running out of the tunnel, and then him in the longhouse a little bit more there. Milius, I feel like there was a ton more with her or with them.
I feel like, and that's still in the first one. Yeah, I don't think you really knew much about them.
Yeah, no, I think
actually, that's the second one. You're right. No, that's the second one.
Yeah.
They had more lines in the first one for sure, but the second one they gave them more for sure.
And then Nemesis was an interesting one because they didn't add a whole lot, but what they did do was add, in my opinion, a major line that people will overlook, which was the fact of her talking about how her village is a fishing village. However, her ancestors were not, and they were warriors, and they had the blades, and her blood started the blades, and because of that, she could feel the like her ancestors in her, and she knew how.
The first one.
Yeah, but like the dialogue of her saying I know how to use these now because of my ancestors, like that sort of thing. Because that was one of the things we had talked about. Was like she got her ass beat in the barn at the end of the movie. Now it kind of makes sense because it's not like she is a warrior truly. She's just, that was a thing in their history that now she does, but she isn't a true like warrior. Like yeah, she practices it, but it's not like she's like been doing it for, 20 years, 30 years, her entire life.
She's going 1v1 me, bro.
Yeah, exactly. There was more of like the festival party thing before the emotional gift giving scene.
Yeah.
A little bit more party going, a little bit more kind of just like, hey, the harvest is done, sort of thing, which was kind of cool. It was nice seeing them all unwind with the citizens. Tarok starts dancing with some older fine lady.
You're like, dude, he's gonna take her home.
Yeah, I was like, they're gonna get on. We get more Sam and Eris. That's when they make out on the rooftop. And then the Hawkshaws see them. And they say the awkward line of
icky.
Icky. Yeah, they're like, ugh, gross. Like they're putting their mouth holes together or something like that. It's like, all right, bro. Tarok does it with the old lady. We get to see the end of that. We don't get to see the beginning. We just get to see them waking up in the morning. Setting up the defenses have more meaning. They added more to it, and they kind of explained everything and went through the entire. Like, this is why we're doing this. This is what we're doing. We're going to do this. If we do this, we can do that. If they do this, we can do that. They kind of go through that a little bit more. The Hawkshaws tell the Imperium, the orcs that are spying on them, they tell them, the Imperium, they finally get the transmitter working, and they start to tell them, like, hey, they're getting stuff set up down here.
They got a ship, dude.
Yeah, they got a ship, they got stuff, and then out of nowhere, King Jimmy shows up. All hail King Jimmy. King Jimmy shows up. Jimmy kills all of them. Did I say Jimmy?
Jimmy
kills them all.
Jimmy kills all of them.
Kills all of them.
And he's like, you're on our side. We're on the same side.
What is that word, Colin? A lot of the little setups have been answered. That's not... I'm going to send you a picture of that afterwards. You're not gonna know that's answered. Yeah, so like I said, a lot of the little setups have been answered, because that was one of the things is that it felt like in the other one, like we would get to a moment of a movie and be like, oh, okay, now that explains it, because it was the scene where Eris is like, we have all these guns and all these weapons and stuff. It was that scene. We didn't get that in the first one. In the first one, they just kind of like they just have them. Now Eris being like, oh yeah, well look, we have all this stuff. Gunner has probably the biggest transition between the two movies. In the first, in the first PG versions, he's a whiny little bitch.
He wasn't. I wouldn't even call it a whiny little bitch in the remake.
Yeah, no. In the R-rated, he's aight. He does his thing.
And then
so this is the end. This is the end with the you can either do this or this moment, which you picked up on because I didn't at first.
Yeah, so this was it was actually what I was about to say. So we follow Noble throughout the time, and we're like, he's giving people choices, and then the person makes the choice, and he still does the thing anyways. Whether it's like kill someone, he's like he's still just going to do whatever he wants to do. So he does that with Cora in the village, and he's like, if you come with me, I won't kill the village. She's like, I'm going with him, and then Gunner grows. Well, you think at the time in the first, when you the original, you think he grows balls, but this makes sense who he is as a character in the extended one. He grabs a gun and he shoots the bell to initiate the ambush. But like you're like when we were watching it, we're like, dude, he's an asshole. Like he's like what is he doing? But after watching like Noble do all this stuff, you're like, no, that's the right move, because like he was just gonna kill them all anyways.
Yeah, like Gunner kind of picked up on it that like, hey, like no matter what, this is gonna happen.
Yeah, he's just gonna do it.
Yeah, so it was kind of a wild little thing. The Longhouse fight. Oh my god.
You know, like you think like the village isn't that big, but like boy, did you see like hundreds of villagers die.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the Longhouse. You walked in right away. You saw 3 ladies get blown away.
Just heads.
A lot of ladies dying in this movie.
Yes, a lot of the ladies died in this one. You know, so the Longhouse fight was Eris, Sam, Nemesis, and the little blonde kid versus just a bunch of soldiers from the Imperium. And yeah, it was like DeNutte said, at one point they shoot the door down, walk in, turn, and just do. And it's just three chicks' heads blow. Just bang, bang, bang. Like, all explode.
Crazy.
And, like, it caught us off guard.
Whoa!
Nemesis has a fight with swords versus the other people with their swords. Eris...
She kind of wins.
Yeah, she kind of wins. Eris is fighting some people and kind of gets his ass beat. Sam has the blunderbuss. And I love it because it actually says blunderbuss in the movie.
She blew a guy in half.
Like, literally blew him in it. Gone. Right here. Gone. Then shot another dude in the head. So the violence holds more weight now.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're starting to see it hold more weight. Because for the last hour and a half, 2 hours? Hour and a half, 2 hours? At that point, would you say? Hour and a half, 2 hours in that range?
Not a lot of killing in the beginning of the second one.
Not a lot of killing in the beginning of the second one. And more of you just being around the village and the people of the village. So, like, now, like, they're just random people just blowing up in the background that have, like villagers.
And then you see Noble, like, going through the tunnels, just killing women.
Yeah, like, Noble literally just going through the tunnel, murdering everyone. And not just like, oh, stab. No, it's like stab, twist the neck around, and then kick them on the ground. Like, it's aggressive how violent he is this entire movie. And it's just, like I said, the violence holds more weight now than it did in the first one, it feels like, simply just because they are able to show the extent and the true violence of the movie. And that's one of the things that I've said to DeNutte before, is that, like, I like that with the heavy-handedness of Zack, is that it adds to it. It's the same thing with any of the very hard-hitting things. If he over is doing it and showing you just how evil or just how violent something is, to me, I like that, because it's like, okay, yeah, this really is messed up. Like, this really is violent. Like, these guys really are evil. Like, the tarantula little thing comes in at one point and just mows down, like, 20 people. We see Tarok and Titus turn and jump. And when they jump, behind them is about 20 people, and they all just get massacred from this little spider tarantula turret thing. So now at this point, Cora and Gunnar are now on the ship. They're on the Dreadnought. They've made their way up onto the Dreadnought, and they're going to go do the thing. And Cora goes to put the explosives on the Kali, which we saw in the first movie. And this is where we get a whole brand new thing. Whole brand new sequence. She's putting the explosives on the head, and then suddenly the eye opens, and then suddenly rips the tubes out of its mouth. It cracks the face, which looks like maybe it's being like cement held in there, sort of thing. It like cracks that, stands up, smashes her hand against the thing, and like the Kali is like a true sentient, like, feminine figure standing there now at this point, looking down at Cora, basically being like, hey, look, I forgive you. Yet again, more forgiveness. Just, I forgive you for what you're about to do, but just know, my sisters, they will know the wrath of my sisters once you find them. Like, that sort of thing. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's a moment where it's like, what the fuck is going on? And then suddenly it's like, then we're back to where we were, where you have the guards coming up, and it's like, okay, shit, here we go. Just a wild new scene. Was not expecting it. So then Cora's running around the ship, and then Cora gets to... No, because at this point... Now, wait, am I jumping around? Hold up a second. Yep, I'm jumping around. So now at this point, they're getting...
She gets to the gun.
Nope, that's before that. This is before that. That's where I thought we were. So, cover me with this, or cover me with dirt. So Milas is getting pinned down. So Terox says that, gives the gun to General Titus, and then just gets up and books it to go save her. They save her. They blow up the thing. Woo! Okay. Pause. Good. Everything's okay. They look up, and a second spider is now coming at them with more soldiers. And they're like, okay, stand up, start shooting. Explosion in front of them, and then there he is.
Jimmy.
Cape flapping. Jimmy. And Jimmy now, the horns are on his helmet, and you're like, where's his horns? And he just does like a katana spin, and he has the horns in his hands. And then Jimmy goes on a rampage.
And he just kills everyone.
Everyone with I'm 20, 25, 30 soldiers, something like that. It's an absurd amount. Gets on top of the gets on top of the spider, moves the cannon, jumps inside, kills someone, grabs a grenade, throws it down. Superman jumps out of there. The spider blows up. Superman lands down. Jimmy. It's awesome. Greatest thing ever. You ready for this? I heard someone in the PG-13 version online, someone said that Jimmy is just C-3PO. Try to think about that one for a moment and how dumb that person is. So then we get to another brand new scene. Cora gets to the top of the ship, because now at this point, Admiral Noble is just like, you know what? Screw it. Kill them all. Blow the whole place up. I don't care. Just blow it to smithereens. So they turn the cannons on it to shoot it, and Cora shows up last second. Bang, 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 bang. Shoots the dude in the head that was looking through the camera thing. And also, funny thing, that actor that was looking through the camera thing, I saw his wife tweeted online and said, I've never I appreciate Zach putting my husband in the film, and I didn't think I'd be this happy to watch him die in film. So shoots him as he's on the thing, and as he's falling backwards, his hand kind of just is on the wheel that then turns the cannon up, and the cannon fires, boom, and shoots into the back of the mountain.
Misses the village.
It's like, whew, okay, village done. Cora then gets on there, starts swiping away everything, turns that bitch right up to the look.
And everyone on the bridge is like, what's going on?
What's going on? Why is the cannon looking at us now? Huh. Meanwhile, Admiral Noble and like his number 2 are just like, we out.
Go.
And she blows the command tower up. Just boom. And we were sitting there, we're like, that feels new.
Yeah, so, that definitely wasn't in the original.
So while watching it, I brought up the PG-13 version on my second monitor, quickly skipped to that scene. Completely new scene. So the cannon goes off because the collie detonates, which happens about 10 minutes after this. So it's like, there's a whole new sequence. Then we get to the final part where, now we're starting to get towards the end of the movie where they're fighting, and it is Noble and Cora fighting as the ship is falling down. I do remember specifically we said we loved that scene when it first happened. Loved it in this one too.
Better. More stuff.
There's just little stuff like more ships flying.
Yep.
More like at one point the sword goes with Noble, and Noble like spinning as he's falling, like trying to reach for it, and DeNutte Audible was like, that was awesome. Oh, that was cool. I think you said it was the word. That was cool.
And then he nailed his head off.
Yeah, and he bounces his head off something. That was
cool.
And then 3 seconds later, he's just pure bad guy looking over like, okay, sure, here I am. Gets to the end, and yeah, they Cora just traps actually Cora's getting choked out. He's about to die, and then Gunnar right through, and the blade like comes like this close to Cora's face. Stabs him through, kicks him. He goes in. He's holding on. Cora slams the door thing. The door closes in on him. She takes the blade and then cuts his head in half.
But yeah, he literally like
split. Aggressive. Wasn't in the first one. And then my very first thing that I said, and DeNutte audibly giggled, was I was like, he can't live from that, right? Because like we just seen him die in the first one. Like, it's like, is he gonna be alive again?
Who knows?
Ship crashes. Gunnar dies. Kind of hits a little bit more now that he's not as kind of meh.
Now that he's a man.
Yeah, now he's a man in this one versus the other one. No, just like we said, a lot of the small details changed some of the way that we felt about characters. So Gunnar dies. They have the ending. Cora does the whole thing of like, oh, I'm, I'm actually, Arthur. Are we gonna go to war? Let's go find Princess Issa. She's dead too. Oh no, Princess Issa's dead. I killed her. And General Titus is like, nah, you can't kill her. She's out there. We just gotta go find her. And then that's kind of where it ends. And that's where the PG-13 version ended. And I thought that's where this version was gonna end. And then out of nowhere, brand new scene. And it's Belisarius, and he's sitting there, and he's standing there, and they're putting the robes on him, and they're putting the gloves on him, and then it's like, I like the fact that the guy came up and was like about to talk to him, and he's like, wait, I love this part. And it's just the dude putting his crown on. Like, nothing else happens. He's just like, shut your mouth, don't talk to me. Put the crown on. Ah, yes, And then we get the most Warhammer Star Wars Nazi image of all time. Of him standing out in front of the people like this, just arms out wide, just the entire army in front of him, ships flying towards him, massive structures, just...
Yeah, Nazis. Space Nazis.
Movie ends.
Is there any confirmation for the next one? Okay.
So far, the only thing we have, or the only thing we know about, is that we have the 2 books, which I have one of them. There's 2 books. There's a comic series about the Blood Axes. There is the podcast, which just came out about the Sensical, which they mention in this, which is kind of cool as well. That they actually mention that by word in the movie. And that's all I know. I think Netflix is waiting. Also, I feel like Zach just also has a lot on his plate with... He also has Twilight of the Gods. There's supposed to be a animated Army of the Dead movie as well. There's a potential chance of him doing a UFC movie because there is a Saudi prince. There's like a well-worthy Saudi prince that wants a UFC movie, and he talked to Dana White about it, and they've all met now apparently. And Zach has also said that he wants to do a movie that doesn't have to do with a whole lot of VFX and just kind of very basic.
Which you can do. You don't need that for that for the most part.
I haven't heard anything. If the lovely people have, you can correct us and let us know down in the comments down below. But overall, director's cut Rebel Moon R-rated.
I'd recommend it if you haven't seen it and you like these kind of movies. You gotta the runtime. You just gotta be okay with the runtime.
Yeah, that's the biggest takeaway. Is you have to be okay with the 6 to 7 hour runtime. That's it. Outside of that, it's a solid movie. Like me and DeNutte have only watched a couple things together for the podcast, right? We have watched worse than this.
Yeah.
There definitely is worse than this. The thing, like I said, the thing that I will say though is that I do agree.
But also, if you don't like these kind of movies, if you're not into like fantasy, high sci-fi, Zack Snyder, if you're not into any of those things, then like you're not gonna like it.
Exactly. I mean, if you're like,
because it's not poorly written. As much as people are gonna like say that about the movie,
there's tons of people that like, oh, it's poorly written. The story doesn't make sense. The characters' dialogue is bad. The characters don't make sense.
Which is crazy because like you could just say that you could like it's all like saying like, oh, a movie was clunky, it's this and that. Just because you don't like it, like you just don't have to like it.
Mm-hmm. If you don't like it, just don't like it.
I don't like The Godfather. Do I say it's a bad movie? I just say I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I don't like most of the Tarantino movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't shit on people that do like them or shit on them themselves. I just don't like them personally myself.
I just hate that like just because you don't like it, it means it's bad. I hate that like taking our world nowadays.
Well, like for instance, the fun one was seeing that, hey, the movie is out. 3 minutes later, Collider releases an article saying it's worse than ever. And also, by the way, no one got an early look at the movie or the movies. So, funny Collider, good joke, haha. Because people actually respect you guys. But I do agree with DeNutte though. If you liked the first one, you like these sort of movies, I would say give it a chance. The big issue though, as we have said, is getting over the 7 hour hump.
Yeah, because you can't be like it's tough.
It's tough. It is. I mean, no matter what, it's a tough sell. But what I will say is this though, I do think it is worth it.
Because, like, all right, hear me out. But these two movies, not as good as Lord of the Rings.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
We can. Yeah, like, not even close.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch the extended versions of the Lord of the Rings.
Correct.
So,
this is one of those things where if you watch the PG-13 versions, if you like the PG-13 versions, carve out some time to watch these. Yes, if you want to see, if you like the PG-13 versions and you like what you saw, but you would like some more backstory, you would like a little bit of the violence to be there and a little bit more of the adult to be there, carve some time out and watch these.
Yeah.
That's it. You know? So, with that being said, though, again, thank you to my wonderful co-host, Mr. DeNutte here. Yeah, we'll be back next week with things and fun. I'm not going to tell you guys what. I know what it is. He might know what it is, too. I don't know if he does. But we'll be back next week. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments down below. If you say anything negative, I'm literally just going to hit you with a ... okay thumbs up. That's it.
Who are these two fatties?
Yeah. So, as always, depending on where you are, morning, after, even night, stay trouble, stay safe, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.